Good morning, commuters. This is Matt Malone for the Malone's Commuter Podcast, number 4. Driving the Ford Escape, 82,223 miles on this son of a gun. It's Monday. Happy Monday! I got the lapel mic, so hopefully we're going to get some good audio here. Beautiful morning, nice and cool. Supposed to only be up to 73 degrees freedom units. Okay, so where we left off, where did we leave off? I kind of tailed off and I just went up to kind of where I got my job. That was 15 years ago though, so there's a lot of stuff that's happened since then and now, obviously. So let me try to recap some of this stuff. So yeah, I got my job here, and that was the this job I've had ever since. 15 years. 15 years? Must be doing something right. It's a union gig, and a lot of it was just learning on the job. But yeah, so let's talk about the places I've lived, and we'll go from there, I guess. So I pretty much, when I had my job at Monsanto back in the day, I pretty much wanted to get out of the house as soon as possible. I was just kind of more of an independent kind of person, you know, so I actually signed a lease on a real crap hole apartment when I was, I don't even know, maybe 19 or 20 years old. So I was living in my parents' house a little bit too long. You're supposed to get out of there when you're 18. But I signed a lease on an apartment without even telling my parents, really. I was like, I got my own job. I got some money coming in. Let's give all that money away in rent. So I rented a really crap hole apartment. The walls were paper thin. And I remember very vividly, I had some friends over, maybe 2 or 3 friends over, right? And it was Saturday. It was a Saturday. And it was maybe like 6 p.m., 7 p.m. And all we're doing, it's not even anything crazy. All we were doing was hanging out. I think somebody was playing some Xbox and somebody was like shooting darts or something. And the police show up. We're getting reports that you guys are being too loud. And I look around. I'm like, you got the right place? I couldn't believe it. The walls were so thin, I could hear my neighbors pushing the buttons on their microwave. That's how bad it was. That was the crappiest apartment I've ever lived in. It was horrible. But it gave me my first sense of independence and, paying bills on my own. And it was a learning experience for sure. And that's when I had my own turtles. I had 3 aquatic turtles. I think they're called painted turtles. And their names were Bebop, Rocksteady, and Shredder. None of which are turtles, but they're all from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle universe. Nice. And then I got rid of those turtles. I put them in a pond somewhere. They're probably dead. They probably didn't last the winter. But turtles are a great pet, actually. If you can stand the smell. The issue with turtles is you got to clean the tank like twice a month at least, and keep the water flowing, and don't let anything really settle to the bottom, start smelling. And then you got to have a light so they can get up. You have to have an area outside of the water, like a big rock that goes above the water, so they can climb up and they can bask in the light. They got to dry out their shell every once in a while. So that's the only thing you got to deal with those. But yeah, turtles are a great pet. Anyway, I might get some turtles when I get older. Have some kids, so the kids can appreciate it. You know, have some turtles. Get a 40-gallon tank or something. Anyway, so then I was working where I'm working now, and I was making decent money. And this was prior to 2008. So 2006 or so, when everybody and their brother plus their cousin was buying a house way bigger than what they could afford because they were doing no money down. You could literally buy a house with just a signature and like one pay stub from your job. Like, hey, where are you working? Give me a pay stub. Oh, okay. Can you sign your name? All right, the house is yours. What do you want? 200,000, 250,000? What do you need? They told me I could afford $170,000 house. Now, mind you, I was only making probably, I don't know, 40, maybe 40 grand. Then I was working year round, actually. I mean, I was working pretty good hours, and I was working year round because I work in the construction business, and all everyone was doing was building subdivisions. That's all we did was build subdivisions from January to December, man. That's all everyone was doing. It's crazy. And I was a young kid. I didn't know what was going on. I wasn't looking at, prices of homes or any charts or any data. So I had no idea we were in the biggest real estate bubble the world's ever seen. I had no idea. I just thought that what people tell you, don't listen to people. That's a good advice. Don't listen to the common folk, because the common folk usually are the sheep going off the end of the cliff. But everyone's like, yeah, get a house, and then by the time you make your first 2 payments, it's gonna go up in value so much that you don't need to worry about it. It's a great investment. So it's a little embarrassing to talk about. So I signed a piece of paper and got into a 30-year mortgage on a 3-bedroom condo. And it was, how much was I paying per month? Gosh, it must have been $1,200 a month. $1,200 a month. Now, mind you, I did move in. My brother moved in with me. I was like, we can split the costs, make it a little cheaper for us. We got a place to live. And it was a brand new condo that was going in the area. And it was nice, it was okay. It was second floor, not much of a yard. There was association fees. The taxes were high. The mortgage was high. I had to have PMI. I got roped into a really bad deal. Very bad deal. And so then I'm living there, and then my brother, he moves out to bigger and better things. He's like, is that okay if I move out? Can you handle it? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. So I'm living there maybe a year or two. Well, then the crash, 2008 happened. And we have, what coffee is this? It's butternut and rum flavored coffee. It's all right. There's no actual rum in it. I wish. No. So 2008 happened, the big real estate crash, and so I stopped working year round. Meaning, so now I'm in that phase where I get laid off for like 3, 4, sometimes 5 months during the winter. So I would only be working like 8 or 9 months out of the year. And well, I mean, when you're an hourly employee, that's pretty big, and you'd still get unemployment, but unemployment checks would roll in, but it just wasn't really enough. So I was in a situation where I couldn't really keep up with the payments. So after hearing about all the people foreclosing and this, that, and the other thing, and the banks, they didn't know what to do. They couldn't they couldn't sell the properties. So I had heard of people foreclosing on their houses, and they would just live there payment free until the bank actually kicked them out. So at this point, I'm like really into like, man, I got screwed. This is ridiculous. These big banks, and to be fair, I mean, it's 100% my fault, right? But now I'm looking, I wasn't trying to blame anybody, but I'm not about to have sympathy for a big mortgage bank, one of these big banks, right? I don't have any sympathy for them. So I had to come up with an exit strategy to get out of this foreclosure. What the hell's this guy doing? He just got out of his car. Oh, he's going in the back. What's he always going to close the back? Okay, got it nice and tight there, bud. He's wearing a pair of sweatpants that he had cut that now are shorts. Okay, now he's back in his car. Okay, great. So I had to come up with an exit strategy. So I'm thinking, okay, well, I'll just stop making payments, and then I'll just live here, save up some money to rent somewhere while the bank figures out what's going on. And by the time the bank, finally kicks me out, that could be anywhere from 3 months to 6 months to a year, from what I had heard on the internet and from people that have done the same thing. So that was my strategy. But first, before I stopped making my mortgage payments, I decided to buy this vehicle, because I didn't think I'd get a loan on a vehicle unless I had decent credit and I was, everything was on the up and up. So this was my strategy, because I had a Monte Carlo that had issues, major issues. So I purchased this Ford Escape, and once I got that rolling and the payments going on that, I stopped paying for my mortgage. So now the only bills I have, you got to keep up on utilities and, all that stuff. You don't have to make the real estate tax. You don't have to pay for the tax bill, because the bank technically owns the property, and that was all involved in the mortgage anyway through escrow. So I stopped making anything that had to do with the house, except for like utilities and association fees and all that stuff. I stopped paying. I stopped paying the mortgage. And so this was my strategy, and it's pretty shameful. I mean, it's embarrassing, but that was the situation I was in, and I needed a way out, and that's just the way it is. And so, you live and learn. So I stopped making mortgage payments, and then you start getting the phone calls, and my goodness, it was City Mortgage, and they would call me pretty regularly. It ended up being at a certain point, it ended up being every single day they would call. And I would answer, be like, hey, how you doing? Be like, hey, are you planning on making a payment? Be like, I was going to get around to it, but yeah, I'm not sure. So I'd just kind of mess with them a little bit. I'm like, at a certain point, I was like, look, I'm just gonna stop funding you. I'm not gonna be sending any checks. I'm like, that's just the way it is. And it was always a different person calling, But I would give them the old razzle dazzle, and be like, hey, how you doing? Be like, beautiful day, isn't it? So yeah, I was kind of a dick to them, but whatever. They're just people trying to do their job. I wasn't like mean, really. I was just kind of messing with them, kind of BSing them, But that was interesting, because I'd get that call every single day, and I would answer, So anyway, so they'd call me, and then they'd send me stuff, and then they would send me the actual, like, you are being foreclosed on, like, this is legit, like, okay, So all in all, I ended up living there for a year and like 4 months. It was well over a year, payment free, over a full year. And then this is the deal. They said, okay, give us the property. They sent over some like a contract, and they said, look, move out, and we're gonna have a real estate agent come, some local real estate agent come and inspect the house at this certain date, and you have to be moved out completely, like as in like at this date somebody could technically like buy it and move in. So it had to be like move in ready. If you do that, if you clean out the entire place and get the hell out of there, we'll give you, I think it was like $5,000 in cash. $5,000 in cash. So I said, boom, done. So on the particular date, real estate agent shows up. I had moved everything out. I had rented an apartment, had everything out. She said, She looked around. She literally just like looked around. She opened like one cabinet in the kitchen, looked around, handed me a check for $5,000. She said, "Have a good day." I'm like, "Thank you, ma'am." I was like, holy crap. So all in all, and yeah, my credit score took a hit, but credit scores are only good if you want to borrow money. So I mean, and it went down to like 700, but now it's already, you know, years later, it was already back up to like 840 or something. The credit score, don't let people tell you that your credit score is important, because it's not. Especially if you have cash to pay for stuff. Credit scores, it means nothing. It is absolutely insane that people put such a high regard on your credit score. But let's just put the cruise control on. Okay, great. So yeah, that was a horrible situation brought on by me. I signed all the papers for the mortgage. It was me that made the bad decision to get in. I take full responsibility for it. It was one of the biggest financial blunders of my entire life. I really regret it, but the way the exit strategy worked, it worked, right? I mean, it couldn't have happened any better. I mean, the situation was horrible in 2008. Everybody was losing their house. I mean, everybody was underwater. I was probably $30,000 to $40,000 underwater on that property, and to be able to get out scotch-free with money in my pocket, not only from, you know, not making a mortgage payment for over a year, but also the $5,000 they gave me, that I came out on top, just with a cloud of shame. And I can admit it now. It's years. I mean, it's 10 years ago. But yeah, you know, you're young. You got your job. You're feeling some independence. Everyone is buying a house, so you just kind of jump in and do it. But anyway, so then I rented a place, and gosh, rent was pretty high there, but that place was okay. I had a really nice landlord. That's where I started streaming, was in that apartment that I had, because I guess we can start. I'm trying to go chronologically here. So back in the old house, the place where the foreclosure house, I had an Xbox. My brother had gotten me into PC gaming, so I had I built my first computer, my first ever PC I built myself, and it's funny I don't know what the specs are on it, but it's kind of funny back in the day, like what specs you're running. And I was initiated with Half-Life 2, because my brother insisted, you play Half-Life 2 for the first PC game. And that game's great. But and I had always liked racing games. I had always played Forza on Xbox, because I had an Xbox 360, and then I got into PC gaming, and I always play Forza. And so I had the PC, and then I had one of those Xbox wireless steering wheel and pedals that they say it's wireless, but there's wires coming out of everywhere. It physically doesn't wire into the console, though. But I always play Forza 4. I think it was Forza 3, Forza 4. And so I had my Xbox steering wheel, and I would hook it up to like a table, like a kitchen table, and I would have it there with the monitor and everything. It was kind of a big deal. And then I had built a almost like, you know, the cornholing game, the when you play bags at the bar, it's the piece of wood with a hole in it, and you throw oh, this guy's making a triple pass. Oh yeah. You passed 3 cars. So I almost made kind of like a bag wooden thing like that for my pedals, because it was nice to have, like, I would just sit at like an office chair up against the kitchen table, and then I had I built that, like, it's like a little ramp to put the pedals on, and that was pretty nice. And then so I'd mess around with that a little bit here and there, nothing too crazy. Forza was always like hard to connect and hard to get into a race, and then when you did get into a race, it's only 4 laps, and it was just really annoying. I was like, yeah, this, you know, whatever, I got other things going on, hanging out with friends, and, you know, it just really wasn't a big part of my life then. So then when I moved to the new place, I started getting serious, and I was looking into some Fanatic gear, because I'm like, man, this Xbox wireless steering wheel and pedals, it's not that great. It's like a little toy, you know? So I started looking up reviews on different sim racing gear, and that's when I found out about Inside Sim Racing. And Darren Ganji! Hey, Darren Ganji, tell me all about the Fanatic gear. So, and Sean Cole and stuff like that, when they used to do that show. And they would always talk about something called iRacing. And I'm like, it really didn't register. I was just kind of focused in on the equipment. I'm like, iRacing, you know. And so I ended up getting the Forza 4 CSR steering wheel and pedal set from Fanatic, and it had a load cell brake. The CSR pedal set Fanatic used to sell back in the day was a very, very good pedal set. I had actually had two. I bought 2 sets of them because the one broke, so I bought another one. It was my fault it broke. I was super rough with them, and the wires came out, and I had a major issue, so I just bought another set because they're just so good at pedals. So then I'm like, okay, well, I got this set of pedals, and I'm still playing Forza with this really nice steering wheel and pedal set. I'm like, what am I doing? So then, for whatever reason, after watching more reviews, they kept talking about iRacing, and I'm like, iRacing? I'm like, all right, let's check it out, www.iracing.com. I'm like, what is this? Subscription-based? I'm like, this is like some simulator. It's not even a video game. I'm like, this is crazy. And I thought at the time, I'm like, this is way too hardcore. I'm like, I was watching some of the tutorial videos, and I'm like, man, they're like really getting in depth about how simulated this is. This isn't a video game. I'm like, how can I upgrade my car? Oh, you can't do that. Oh, okay. And it's like, there's certain series, and there's a license class, and there's safety rating, and you got to build up your license just to be able to even participate in certain series. I'm like, I was intimidated, no doubt, super intimidated at the time. I'm like, you know, I can sign up for 3 months, it looks like, and, you know, whatever. Maybe I'll try it for 3 months, and if I don't like it, whatever, you know, it's not that big a deal. So I sign up. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. I have some weird tingling feelings down in my nether regions. I'm like, this is something. Like, it felt so real, and it just seemed like this is like you're just totally immersed in the environment, in the car. I'm like, this is amazing. So I'm like, okay, I have to like build like a rig. Like I got to get the full experience here. And so my friend, he's a woodworker, and so we went on about building a rig. And really all you need, if you want to go on the cheap side of building a rig, you go to the store and you buy 1 piece of plywood. Get a good piece of plywood. Make sure it's not warped. Make sure it's nice and thick. I think we got either half, I think it was probably 3/4 inch plywood, the good stuff. And with 1 piece of plywood, you can build an entire cockpit, cabinet style, that is just as strong as some of these metal ones, no doubt. So that's what we did, and we built it, and this thing was a monstrosity of a rig, and it was too wide to fit into my bedroom. So I'm like, oh no, because we had measured it off from like a different doorway. So, because this thing was huge, and it was a big box style, so my monitor would just sit right on top of it, the front, and then it would hold the wheel. And so I'm like, oh no, it won't fit in my bedroom. I had to chop it down. I had to slice it, and we went and bought I went and bought a passenger seat out of an old Dodge Durango, and used that. That Dodge Durango is a leather seat, and I got it from a junkyard for like, I don't know, $35-40 or something. And that was my first seat that I had on the rig, and that was awesome. Then I just used a 40-inch old TV that I had, and I just put it right there in front of me, and away I went, you know. Nobody coming? Okay, great. So yeah, I had that for a while, and then that's when I started streaming with that rig. I had my CSR equipment with the wooden rig in my bedroom, and it happened to be where I was racing, and somebody on there was like, oh, hey, why don't you come over to my Twitch stream? You can see the replay and stuff. I'm like, Twitch? What the hell's Twitch? You know? Like, yeah, some crazy Tumblr site. I'm like, what is this? So I go on there. I'm like, holy crap! I'm like, people are broadcasting their video game. I'm in the video game. I was in the same race as the guy. I'm like, wow, it blew my mind, man. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I'm like, how can I stream, right? So, and this is when I met Jimmy Broadbent, and we would do league races with the old, I guess it was the old fake Porsche back in the day. That car was a lot of fun. It was the C-Spec roof car. It was a lot like the Porsche Cup car that they have today, but much harder to drive, not as good. Anyway, so we got together, and then I think he was already streaming, or at least doing YouTube videos then, and I'm not sure, but we both started streaming on Twitch, and Twitch was really cool because it was like I could have like a show, like a broad. I didn't think of it like more like it's a Twitch thing. I thought more of it like as a TV show / like radio. And I was like, this is cool. Like I can have my own show, and interact with people and just have fun with it. Because I'm like, some of these races, if people like watching racing, they might as well watch me racing. So I had everything set up. When you're getting into something and it's new to you, it's so much fun when you're first starting. I had one of those Xbox 360 webcams that was horrible quality, but hey, it worked, and just start really basic. You get OBS. I'm like, what's this open broadcasting software? I'm like, what is it, free? I'm like, okay, we'll try it out. I'm like, add source, iRacing, okay, add another source, okay, my webcam, oh, great. Oh, this is cool, now we're working with something, so super basic stuff. And it just continued to blossom. I mean, the more you do something, the better you get. It took me a long time, though. If you ever go back, don't cringe too hard. You might die of cringe overload if you go back and watch some of my super old videos. Hell, you may be dying from cringe overload right now. Okay, yeah, it took me a long time to just kind of like be myself, because I was trying to put on a show. I was trying to I don't know what I was trying to do, to be honest. I was just trying to, it just took me a while. I didn't really realize that, the best thing to do is just be yourself. Just get on and just talk and hang out and, just be yourself, So it took me a little while to finally come out of my shell. And I remember I was racing the old Ford GT, #Ford GT. No. And there were, there's not really anybody watching me at this point. It was just maybe 7 people, no one's chatting or whatever. I don't know, maybe less than that. Half of them were bots. No. And I'm trying to mess around with the setup, So I'm just kind of talking to myself. Well, maybe I'll adjust this here. Maybe, increase the wing. Maybe it seems like I'm not getting through the corners very easily, maybe I had no idea what I was talking about. I had no idea what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing when it comes to setups, So I'm just kind of messing around, talking to myself, and someone puts in a paragraph of who's this guy talking to? What's going on? This guy's crazy. Does he even know no one's watching? He doesn't even know what he's doing. Why is he talking to himself? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay. But I didn't let it get to me too much. I persevered, and you can't let comments like that totally derail you from what you're trying to do, But you just have to use it like a learning experience. And so maybe I probably did sound crazy. Probably was just talking to myself, But you can't let that when you're first starting out, you can't let that stuff get to you. You just got to do your own thing. Some people are going to like it, some people aren't. You know, you just hope that you can tip the scales over to where more people like what you're doing than not. And, you know, it's a free world. It's, you know, no one's paying to watch it. They can click away. You know, no one's being forced to watch any of this content. Yeah, so it was a little slow going at first, but you kind of try to find your groove. And, you know, as long as you're having fun, if you're not having fun, there's no point in doing it. So as long as you're having fun doing it and you're portraying that fun, you know, to whoever's watching, 5 people, 50 people, 500 people, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. So yeah, I started streaming. Gosh, I'm not gonna finish this. I haven't even got to Samantha yet. So what time is it? 6:44. All right. So yeah, I started streaming, started doing that thing. And you're like, man, Malone, are you a loner? What are you gay? You never had a girlfriend or anything? I had girlfriends, okay? I had girls that were friends, friend zone. No, I didn't do much with girls really. I was just working all the time. I had a girlfriend in high school that was pretty serious, and that was off and on. A few here and there. But yeah, I was kind of a loner sometimes. I mean, I had friends, and all my friends at this point were married and started having kids, and, you know, but I just never, like, I don't know, it was hard to meet girls, and then, especially, it's hard to meet girls, especially when all your friends are already married. Oh, I'm getting a phone call. Wait, decline. Am I still recording? Yeah, I'm still recording. That's weird. Anyway, they can wait. So yeah, so it's hard when all your friends are married and then you stop going out. So then how do you find girls, you know? And I was too busy working, and then I'd be streaming, and I just never really made an effort. So then I just got on all the social, online dating apps like Tinder and Bumble and all that stuff. So, and then I eventually, we'll have to pick this up because I just got a voicemail. It might be somebody from work. Well, I'll pick this up. Hopefully the new microphone is working well. Hopefully that's good. Next podcast will be all about Samantha and how I met the love of my life. And if we want to revisit any streaming stuff, I can do a whole nother podcast on just like streaming and stuff. Let me know in the comments, follow me, all that garbage. I hope you enjoy it. Have a great day, commuters. We'll see you tomorrow.